Good morning, live from the campus of the United States Sports Academy in Daphne, Alabama. This is Sports Talk. Good morning. I'm Dr. Arthur Ogden, Chair of Sports Management, and I serve as moderator for this august body. Each week we encounter and we tackle some sport issue. And we're brought to you through the good services of the people in the communication department, and they do an excellent job of producing this. This morning's panel consists of Dr. Steve Butler, who's our Dean of Academic Affairs, and Dr. Fred Cromartie, who's Director of Doctoral Studies. Well, we're going into the fourth week of college football, and we thought at this time, because the last 2 weeks have given us so many upsets and resets and restarts and so forth, that we might just reflect a little bit on where we were back on August 12th when we made our own predictions about the standings and did our own poll. So we heard back in August that Auburn was going to win the SEC, that Southern Cal would dominate the Pac-12 and possibly be one of the Final Four, that Alabama would take its usual place as the dominant team in the SEC, and that no team could come close to defeating Ohio State. Well, all of those things kind of melted this past weekend, both Auburn and Alabama, and in addition, USC lost, and Ohio State was seriously threatened. So today we're going to take a look at where we are and where we have been. Gentlemen, it started with Temple beating Penn State, and then Toledo thumped Arkansas. And everyone's preseason took a bad hit when they all took Bama as one of the top two, and they were actually ranked number 2 when they were beat by Ole Miss on Saturday night at Bryant-Denny Stadium, certainly. Now, these games have sent shockwaves throughout the college football world. What's happening?
Well, I think it's been something that we've been screaming for years and years and years in college basketball. Parity.
Parity, right. The 25 scholarships everybody has.
It's here in football, and
right.
It's been for a while. We've always had, the Appalachian states come up and beat a Michigan, and we're seeing it more and more today because these programs are actually getting, these kids that are not the top, blue chip 5-star athletes, but hey, when you get a whole heck of a lot of 2-star, 3-star, some 4-star athletes, they really can go out there and they can challenge teams. Take a look at when Jacksonville State pushed Auburn to the limit. Well, the fact of the matter is they had some athletes that
13 FBS players.
Exactly.
And the quarterback for Jacksonville State would be the starting quarterback for LSU now if he hadn't gotten in trouble 3 years ago.
Exactly. And you're starting to see that play out more and more at colleges and universities across this great nation and that. So that's the one thing that is a huge, huge factor in all of these programs being able to do what they do. Northern Illinois, they pushed Ohio State, and Ohio State just about panicked until they pulled it out. So I think that's part of the big issue.
Steve, how do you see it?
Didn't Northern Illinois play in the Orange Bowl 2 years ago?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so it's
they
not
had
like
that top quarterback.
yeah, it's not like they came from nowhere. I was watching the Florida Atlantic University game on TV Saturday, and Florida Atlantic ended up losing to Buffalo. But the guy and this kind of
you got to get cable if that's the game you watch.
No, I went to Florida Atlantic, so I was a little bit interested, and I was getting physically ill watching the Auburn game, so I had to. But anyway, and it goes with your thing about parity. What the guy on TV said, he was talking about the talent that Florida Atlantic has this year, and he said, if you think about it, if they get the 4th best linebacker in the state of Florida, the 4th best wide receiver in the state of Florida, the 4th best quarterback in the state of Florida, behind Florida State, Florida, and Miami, those are pretty good athletes.
Yep, exactly.
Florida's loaded. Florida's loaded.
And the guy made the point. He goes, other than probably Texas, California, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, the 4th best player at a position in Florida is probably better than the best player at most of those other states.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So yeah, you're right. It's parity. It's there's something to be said for the Ohio State. we oftentimes forget these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids.
Yes.
And they've been told how great they are. This almost losing to Northern Illinois could turn out to be one of the best things that ever happened to them.
It depends. He and I mentioned earlier that Ohio State now is playing, from my perspective, exactly the same way that Florida State played last year. They were the defending national champions and a little bit, skittish. I wanted to add something to what Fred said about the 4 stars, 5 stars, and so forth. I heard a really, really interesting analysis on one of the ESPN radio shows, and I forget who the analyst was, but he was talking about 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars. And he said, what has happened in the past decade is that the 3 stars have actually worked harder, and the gap between a 3-star and a 5-star is not as great as it was. And I started thinking about that, and he made the point, which you and I talked about, offline. Last year's Super Bowl, and this is probably something interesting to our audience. Last year's Super Bowl, you know how many 5 stars were in that game that started? Zero. You know how many 3 stars?
A bunch.
Like 11. And it was a 2-star that made the interception, the young man Butler from up in West Alabama. And so what's happening is these guys that say, well, I'm a 3-star, but I'm going to work harder, and it's these smaller guys that have speed and work real hard. That's making up the difference. That's part of it.
There's also a lot of error in the star ratings.
Oh, of course.
The 3 of us, we know for a fact if I'm a 3-star and then Alabama offers me, I automatically become a 4.
Yeah, they call it the Bama bump.
Yeah.
They call it the Bama bump. And it started a little bit this year with Auburn. I think Auburn is kind of the sheen on its luster is kind of waned.
But the new quarterback this week.
Yeah,
Sean White.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see what happens.
Back on the 12th of August, we had people here at the Academy do a poll, and our poll came up with Ohio State 1, TCU 2, Auburn 3, Alabama 4, Oregon 5, Baylor 6, Michigan State 7, Georgia 8, USC 9, Clemson 10. You get the idea. And today's poll with AP, if we go by it, Ohio State's 1, Michigan State's 2, and Ole Miss is 3. And I think
Ole Miss and TCU are tied.
Yeah,
Ole
Ole Miss,
Miss
TCU are
tied.
tied.
And is that Baylor right behind?
Yep, Baylor's right behind.
Yeah. So that's pretty much where we are right now.
Before the Alabama fans, if any of you are still out there on the ledge getting ready to jump, don't forget that last year, this same week, you had just lost to Ole Miss and you ended up in the Final Four.
Right. A lot of people are saying that, but this year's team has a great challenge before it. Now, who knows what's going to happen to Auburn?
Yeah, the margin of error for all of the teams that have one loss right now is they better win out.
Oh, exactly.
Because you're not going to get in there at 11-2. It's just not going to happen.
Maybe not. Maybe
No,
not.
it really isn't.
Another point that kind of carries over, and I picked this up on again on the ESPN radio. There are 9 teams in the NFL today that have 0-2 records, and the statistic that was tossed out was 78% of the teams in the NFL that start with an 0-2 record do not make it to the playoffs. Well, we're looking at some teams here like in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens, the Indianapolis Colts. The NFC, we've got Seattle Seahawks. Now, of course, the Eagles, which nobody knows for sure what the Eagles are going to do.
Well, the mad scientist has got to get his formula straight.
I know. Then we got the Detroit Lions and the Bears from Chicago, and the New Orleans Saints. But I'm not surprised the New Orleans Saints are down there. I'm not particularly surprised about the Giants, but the Seattle Seahawks, they've started 0-2, and the Baltimore Ravens, the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, a lot of it's got to do with the schedule too. If Seattle loses to Green Bay and St. Louis back to back in the middle of the season, nobody's going to say a word. They just haven't played two really good teams the first 2 weeks. The Giants Tom Coughlin, of course, can go in the locker room this week. Actually, they play tomorrow night. They have a short turnaround. But he can go into his locker room this week and say, hey, guys, we started 0-2 once and ended up beating the 18-0 Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
They talked about it being a bad win for Dallas because they won the game and lost Tony Romo. I think it was a good loss for the Bears because they lost the game, but Jake Cutler got hurt, and that's probably the best thing that could ever happen to the Bears.
Well, he's only out 2 weeks, a hamstring.
Yeah.
Well, we've never had great quarterbacks in Chicago. But the other thing you got to take into account is, like you said, injuries. Injuries are just a major factor with all of those teams listed there. But not only Dallas though, but Seattle. Seattle is missing the one key piece. Cam Chancellor.
He reported
he's reported today now. So that is going to be that cohesive piece for their defense. And they've got to figure out, which none of us absolutely can even take a guess at why it is that they went ahead and picked up Jimmy Graham. I think they've thrown to him a total of 2 times so far. And it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing here? But the thing of it is he's never been a great blocking tight end, and that's actually what they need.
Do you think that this concept of parity that we now know is a fact in college ball is there with the NFL?
Oh, yeah, I think it's been in the NFL longer than it's been in college.
And parity is there because of the salaries and money and all that good stuff. Look at the number of players that change teams because their teams decide. DeMarco Murray is a classic example. We're going to pay these players here, but we don't have enough to pay him. He's gone.
Yeah, they had to make a choice between Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray.
They could have gotten both.
Where you can really see the parity is wait till they've played like 8 games or 10 games, and then just go through the standings. When they play 10 games, go through and see how many teams are either 4-6, 5-5, or 6-4.
Yeah,
and it'll be probably 3/4 of the league. And
well, a 7-8-1 team went to the playoffs last year.
And Seattle won a playoff game 3 years ago as a 7-9 team. And I think they beat the Saints, who were the defending Super Bowl champs.
Seattle is the one team that is the anomaly there, that they can get it put together pretty quick because they've got all the pieces of the puzzle in place right now.
What about the 49ers?
They're done.
Well, not only are they done, but let's talk about the Colts on Sunday too. You ever seen a star running back like Frank Gore ever get a handoff and then all of a sudden he gets to the goal line and it's a hot loaf of bread?
He just flat out dropped it.
Yeah, he just flat out dropped it. I mean, it's just amazing.
All I know is I remember when the Alabama running back that won the Heisman,
Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram in 2010 had the ball, and I forget who knocked it out. Maybe it was Nick Farley. Nick Farley knocked the ball out, and the ball just went straight down the field. Didn't go off this side, went right through the end zone, and that was it. It was touchback, and that was a turnaround. And Auburn came back and won 28, 24.
That's what they had that great coach, Chizik. Shane Chizik. He was an awesome coach.
You mentioned that's one of those fluke things that transpire in games. We saw, fluke last week in Alabama losing to Ole Miss. Who would have thought that you're going to knock a pass up? It's going to go forward, and the guy catching it and running in.
Well, I don't know. That happened in Jordan Hare. Against Georgia, that's right.
Well, and the guy that during the Jacksonville State game, the 2 defensive backs that both hit the ball for Georgia, one was playing for Jacksonville State, one was playing for Auburn.
I know.
Yeah,
really
exactly. And we can't not mention the running back from LSU.
Oh, yeah,
he's a pro.
He's an alien experiment plopped down here from someplace else in another time dimension. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's a machine.
Yeah, he could easily had 300+ yards.
Oh, yeah, like 3/4.
Speaking of the defensive back that tipped that pass for Georgia, he was the one that tried to tackle him high.
I know.
Exactly.
He just bounced off.
Yeah, the Matador effect. He was bull riding and got fucked off.
Yeah, it was something else.
Yeah.
Well, give me your top 5 right now.
Well, you've got to go with what's out there in the polls. I think Ohio State is going to really play tough throughout the whole season, even though they're going to play in a protective mode.
They're going to be playing. People are coming after.
Yeah, people are coming after them. There's no question about it. Michigan State is there with them. The fact of the matter is I think that we can't sleep on TCU. We can't sleep on Baylor, and I think Ole Miss, if they stay healthy, and their key is the quarterback. He's, like you said, a young kid, but if he stays focused, if he stays healthy, I think they have a chance.
Where you?
No, he didn't transfer. He came from a junior college.
But before then he was a Clemson.
Oh, yeah, but he got in trouble at Clemson.
And then he won the national championship.
Yeah. East Mississippi Junior College.
The good thing about college football, if you look at the top 5, it's going to take care of itself because TCU plays Baylor.
Yeah.
Ohio State plays Michigan State. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. If Michigan State and Ohio State go into that game both undefeated, and there's a very close game, who's to say that second team doesn't still make the playoff?
Well, it'll be tight if you got an undefeated Georgia coming in there.
Yeah.
Well, don't discount Northwestern.
I was not that impressed with Georgia until I saw him play South Carolina. But then again, who knows? Mark Richt is coaching.
He's going to pull one of his famous ones. He just lets down sometimes.
He wins the ones he's not supposed to, and he loses the ones he's not.
Let's talk for just a second about the Georgia quarterback. He set an NCAA record on Saturday. 96% completion rate. He went 24 for 25.
Right.
Now, I would argue that Joe Montana and Jerry Rice running patterns in the parking lot with no defense would have a hard time going 24 for 25.
He was hot. He was good. So what are your top 5?
My top 5 are Ohio State, Michigan State, TCU, and Baylor.
That's 4.
I guess I can't say Auburn. Huh?
Nobody would believe you.
To be honest, right now, I think the winner of the SEC is going to be our hated rivals in Baton Rouge.
You know who else picked that?
Kirk Herbstreit picked that before the season even started. Picked LSU.
You know what's ironic? Kirk Herbstreit also picked Auburn in 2010 before anybody else, and Auburn came out ranked number 21. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much.
What's your top 5?
Oh, I'm just going with the poll.
You know he's going to put Notre Dame.
He put Notre Dame in there.
My only problem was Notre Dame to be number 5. But again, injuries.
Too many injuries.
That's the worst place you want to be at the end of the season.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you what, though. I said it earlier a second ago. Northwestern. They weren't in the poll to begin the season. They're up. They went to 23. And now they're moving slowly up.
They did that last year too. And then they ran into Ohio State. And after that, they limped off for the whole season. I haven't heard. I don't want to play anymore. It's going to be tough. I want to see them go to an 8-team playoff.
I think 8's the magic number.
I think it is too. Listen, thank you, gentlemen. This is always a lot of fun. We'll try to have another good topic next week, and we want to thank you for sending in the emails with suggestions at sportstalk@ussa.edu. Thank you very much. Have a great day in sport.